biased towards Team Secret, and actually no, we weren't. Actually, some of the Secret fans thought we were quite harsh on them. So you can never win, you can never please everyone. Okay, yeah, it does work both ways. The reason if we were biased in any way towards Secret is because they were the favourites, and clearly in this match, Evil Geniuses will be the favourites again. Virtus.Pro have shown us, though, that they have come to play. They finally came out with some strategy, tactics, good play. Second game a little bit messy, I think gods will agree, but the third game, really good game from them. So do we underestimate them at our peril this time?
I think at this point you've got to be taking VP seriously. Like, whoever EG were probably expecting to go up against Team Secret, which is maybe where they're going to be going into this series a bit less prepared, because if anything, they were watching the Secret replays from the previous day. They were going to be watching the series against VP to kind of study Secret. Even going into Game 3, I imagine they were still expecting Secret to be the team to come out on top. So now EG has to probably adjust a bit. They've had that series to figure out what they want to draft, what they want to play, and okay, we're going to find out what exactly it is they want to play.
Indeed, we are, Mr. Gods, because we're already into the draft. No messing around with these two, they're straight in.
So, VP, I think Game 3 is where they look the most solid, and that's the kind of performance thing you look to replicate.
Yeah,
get G on a hero that he can be a playmaker on. His Game 2 Ember was really good, but that was like a kind of chaotic, messy game from VP as a team. But Game 3, everything was very polished.
EG are going to be aware of this as well, aren't they? They're going to look at this and think, well, we were kind of expecting to play. Even PPD tweeted, we're pretty much expecting to play Secret later. We're ready. We're ready to go. Now they've had to change a little bit here. I mean, they would have had time to have watched those games, so that's fine. They're not going to be completely taken by surprise, but it is a different approach, isn't it?
I think PPD one of the better drafters at adapting in general, though, so I don't think that's like too big a concern. He's not like one of the captains who will have prepared set strategies. If anything, preparing set strategies for a team you're not even 100% sure you're going to versus seems like a pretty awful idea anyway. So
it was interesting to see also VP. Like, we talk a lot about the kind of transition and the development of drafting and meta within a tournament, but even VP during that Secret series, they seem to develop themselves and actually become more confident, not just in their play, but also in their drafting and their picks. You know, figuring out, hang on a second, you know, we can pick up a Tinker for G, we can have Ursa here. But I think one of the biggest things was having like a no fear Earth Spirit, just being able to be active early on. The game 1 Chen didn't work out at all. He couldn't roam, he couldn't gank, he couldn't control lanes, which is what really he's been expected to do for VP. But Elder Titan first phase, and the Bane.
Yeah, this has moved up, hasn't it? I think we've mentioned this a couple of times. It was a 5th pick, then it was a 3rd pick, a 2nd, and a 1st. So it's not unusual to see it, but has it been that effective, Gareth? Yeah, nothing stands out, you know. Like, I can't remember over the last 3 days. Do you know what the Elder Titan?
It's quite difficult to notice when he's being effective, though, because his natural order is really the spell that gives him that power in the team fights, and it's just like, well, you know, it basically amplifies your physical and magic damage, making people weaker to it, and it just is very difficult to notice for spectators. But it's also very difficult to notice as a player in a game. You walk into a fight with an ET and you're thinking, you know, it's all about this experience thing, like we were talking about Armlet the other day, where you think, the omelette, forgive me. Where you think, I can kill him, or I can survive in this situation.
I can throw egg on his face.
I can throw egg in his face. And then it's just that little thing that tips the scales. You know, that little added extra value from your spells that ET brings, or the little extra bit of damage from your right click that you're just not expecting.
What do you make of the Bane, Gods?
It's a PPD kind of classic, very much comfort pick for Evil Geniuses. One of his best supports.
Nice and safe.
Yeah, safe. It's perhaps alternative to the line. It has good lockdown control, a BKB piercing ultimate. You kind of know they're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on G in the mid lane, and having a hero like Bane means you can gank his lane really well, and even later on you've got a good way to kind of initiate him, like a Glimmercape Bane goes in, grabs him with a Fiend's Grip, and then you have some kind of follow-up to get kills.
One thing worth questioning, I feel, about this draft so far, Elder Titan so far we've seen exclusively in 4-role.
Correct.
But Bulba has been an Elder Titan player since Dota 1. He's played it offlane, he's played it mid, and it's definitely a hero he fully understands. And we're 90% sure it's going to be in the 4-role, but I think
Thea played it yesterday against Newbie, and I think that's where when you brought up the Elder Titan, like how good it's been, it probably doesn't seem as good because EG ran it yesterday, they lost to Newbie, but Newbie was just, they're playing they're playing like Newbie. The times where we've seen Elder Titan outside of that, Crypt played a really good Elder Titan for OG early in the tournament. We saw in a couple of the lead-up tournaments, Elder Titan, I believe, was like 6-0 in the Manila qualifiers. So I think Elder Titan is very much a hero whose stock is rising very quickly right now.
So one thing that Evil Geniuses is really good at and has been doing, like, in all their games, They really like to team fight, especially very early on, so between the 7 and 12 minute mark. Really love the puck pickup for G this game for that one, because that is just an ultimate control or stop fighting type of hero, or initiate if they want to just turn it around that way.
I wonder if you see a drow ban from EG. Yeah, because once you see puck in first phase, it's always in the back of your head like this could be just like a drow second phase pick.
Kind of hero that could get punished by that early team fight that Shiva was talking about though. Like if you're taking those fights early, EG will often rotate 4 or 5 heroes to the off lane and just go and take the fight to them in carry, and that's something that Dro is not good at handling. So
I still like that. Take away the action hero from No Fear, don't let him get his Earth Spirit.
Yep.
Especially when you've got an active hero like Puck that can actually roam with the Earth Spirit or make kills at mid. It's difficult to handle often.
The DK ban to help protect the puck as well, one of the better heroes at dealing with puck in the mid lane and in just the mid game in general, having that instant stun.
Are we sure that Aloha Dance is going to play the line? Because the more I see it, I think Disruptor is again going to be a really good hero. We've seen Aloha Dance on Disruptor twice before this tournament, and he is phenomenal on that hero. And it's really good against Ember Spirit, it's really good against Bane. You have 2 spells that interrupt the Fiend script.
Disruptor plus line, not a weak support duo by any means, but they kind of fill a similar role where they're that catch/initiation.
That's true.
You don't really, and neither of them is great at like level 1 being able to help out the mid lane. Disruptor's probably the better of the two, where you just go mid, Thunderstrike, dual lane a bit. But what we've seen so far from VP is running the Aloha Dance line.
Yeah.
So you say not out of the question that they could still pick a Disruptor. That's what I was actually expecting from VP for a first stage support. Told me they're getting like a line or Disruptor. I would have expected the Disruptor, but opting to go for the line instead.
Vengeful Spirit, we've seen it as a core. What's it gonna be? Core or support? I like that about that hero. You don't know yet, so they can say
the Dro is
still there. We're both straddling and thinking.
The aura strat, 100%
The prospect of that is pretty scary. Throwing like a Nature's Prophet in the
But you would have to
lane.
pick that next, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's gonna get banned if they don't pick a different core in the previous
If you want it.
Yeah.
Reserve time.
I mean, this is EG don't theoretically have to ban it because they have last overall pick, so they can still react to the Dro pick with whatever their last pick's going to be.
There is a small element of potentially trying to bait it out so they can get something else.
Yeah, and I think EG's lineup deals very well with the Dro strat. They've got great aggression early on. They can close the gap and disable that ultimate, the marksmanship from the Dro Ranger. They've got the Ember Spirit who can remnant in with an Iron Shell. Elder Titan can just throw down the Spirit, get the stun off, and then you've got, like, I think it's actually not the best idea to go with the Dro here, as much as it fits their strat, but they'll stick with it. It fits their strat, but I think EG have a good answer to it, is how I'd look at this pick.
That's the thing, it forces EG to address it in the first, like, 20 minutes or so when you are pushing tier 1s, rather than having an Ember Spirit going from BOTs, Battle Fury, and having, like, the natural, smooth progression through items. He will have to slow down a bit and join fights to deal with the Drow Ranger, maybe.
This is very reminiscent of the game where OG ran the Drow Ranger against Team Liquid and it just got like ran over because it was heroes like, it was what, a Darkseer plus Earth Spirit. Yeah, Venge, Darkseer, Earth Spirit, aggro Triline. I think EG can do something similar. They don't have to necessarily send all 3 heroes bottom, but Darkseer with Elder Titan, very strong laning stage, so it will be a tough early game for P potentially.
5 seconds remaining.
Mentioned Nature's Prophet for FNG as the final one, possibly.
Yeah,
that's like all in on range right-click heroes,
and that's where
though.
EG rather ban like some kind of a team fight hero with the Faceless Void, because damage output is not going to be an issue for VP with these 4.
Are we forgetting a hero that FNG can still play in that off lane? I feel like we are next to Nature's Prophet. But like,
Bat, Beastmaster, Void are all gone.
Yeah. He's been nicely countered in that way.
Play the Puck if they want to pick a G hero as well. Puck offlane becomes a bit more possible.
Crosswex Invoker?
For G? Yeah.
If you want to put the Puck in the offlane.
The downside is you don't know what's going to be the lane exactly, because you don't know if Ember Spear is going to go mid or safe lane. Both are an option still. Or the side of evil geniuses.
Has AUI played much Ember recently?
No, I haven't seen him. I don't even think he's played it for them. But Wind Ranger gets picked up, so that's
a G hero.
It's more likely G's pick, So
the Trail Runner
likely going to be shifting up to the offlane, and this is something where VP are perhaps expecting that dual lane to pressure their safe lane draw, and that's where the puck in the off lane against a possible 2-hero matchup is actually a lot more viable, because if there's any possibility of 3 heroes up there, puck gets nothing out of the lane.
And if they're expecting Ember mid, it also shifts the puck away from the Searing Chains from the Ember Spirit and potentially the roams into mid, because puck can suffer against an Ember Spirit.
So what's AUI gonna play? We've seen him play some battle anti-mage. I say battle anti-mage because you go for Vanguard and things.
Sven has been their go-to for him recently.
Too much physical damage for an AM pick to work very well.
Sven Warcry, they've loved it on AUI.
Yeah, with the armor. We do know that Windrage can be very good against armor heroes if you get a Maelstrom though, so they already got that semi-counter in place.
The Sven is the most like EG AUI type pick left. It's whether they feel like that's the right answer, because that hero does take a bit longer to come online, needs a lot in the way of items, and they may feel like they need something more early game centric with this last pick because of the fact they want to be able to fight VP's timing window with the draw.
Especially when there's that window where you're kind of overlapping, where Sven goes to Ancients and farms jungle camps, and Ember Spirit still hasn't been able to get himself up and running. That's much nicer.
A lot more faster pace. You can get like 12, 13-minute Armlet plus Blink Dagger up. You can take the fight. You've got another Blink like another gap closer to deal with the draw. You can even good against like the Wind Ranger too, because you can just blink on her, get the crush off. So I definitely like the last pick from EG.
Okay, let's go down the line.
It's a difficult one for me because I feel like Virtus.Pro's lineup is pretty strong.
Yeah.
But I think EG is the stronger team. So who's gonna win? Is
but you like VP's draft more?
I kind of like VP's draft. Yeah, I think
even though it's a bit more creative. Yeah. Okay, Gareth, what do you think?
This is a VP draft through and through, and I think that they've only got better throughout the day, so I think VP.
Okay, interesting. Gods, last word is yours.
Side with EG, just I think they've got good answers to deal with the Draw Ranger.
With the range. Okay, alright. All three. Slightly different opinions on here. 2 for 1 in favour of Virtus.Pro. I don't think we'd have seen that at the start of the day. Let's find out what our commentators make of Game 1.
Thank you very much, Red Eye. And indeed, we're ready for EG versus VP. I'm OD Pixel. I'm going to be joined by Cat for this best of 3 in a series that at the start of the day, a lot of people probably over there, oh, that's nice. We're going to have EG versus Secret at the end of it. But VP, they turned up earlier. Here they are coming into Game 1 against EG, pulling out a Drow strat. Are you a fan, Cat?
I am a fan in the context that I think this Game 1 is probably VP's best chance to take a game off of EG. I think there is a rather large disparity. And I think, like a lot of people, I saw some people talking about like, oh man, I think people are really overestimating Secret. No, it's more the fact that in that earlier series, the analysts were definitely thinking that VP was the worst team going into this tournament. I think that they haven't had, they've had pretty much terrible performances going into this. I've heard that scrims haven't been going well for them either. So if they could actually make some sort of major upset over EG, that would open things so much more for the CIS team. But I think everyone's still kind of expecting that Virtus.Pro is just not going to perform too well against some of the tougher teams of this tournament. That being said, this is the best VP draft you could possibly get. It's VP through and through, so if they have a chance to be able to start this series off on the right foot against EG, this is the best possible draft they could get.
And absolutely. And looking over then at the side of EG and what they've drafted here, do you feel that they've got what it takes to deal with the pressure of a Drow strat? And what's your thoughts on EG, of course, going for that first pick Elder Titan here for Fear in this game?
I think it's necessary at this point for Evil Geniuses to go for the 1-2 Elder Titan. I think that once you start going into the 3-4 bans, it's going to be taken out of EG hands every single time, no matter who they're facing, just because the success they've seen with it. So I think it was smart of them until the Elder Titan really starts failing them, until teams start figuring out how to play against this very weird playstyle that Elder Titan brings you. They might as well keep running it in this sort of a 1-2 pickup and just wait for somebody to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, tell me about this, Cap. I mean, look at the lanes that we've ended up with. Who's trying to dodge who? I mean, you've got FNG on the bottom lane dealing with PPD and Aoi, and then this top lane, this kind of aggressive combo, Yoku and Nofit, and they found themselves up against a Darkseer. I mean, who's out mind gaming who here?
I mean, I kind of like the idea of continuing to keep the Elder Titan and the Darkseer together against the carry lane. Obviously, FNG is still going to feel a lot of pressure. I think that's the thing, right? If you have the Darkseer matched up against the Puck's going to be pretty happy with that matchup because he's facing 1 or 2 melee heroes, and he's unlikely to get zoned out. Here, the Bane is actually able to zone him out really well. It's probably one of the best supports you could possibly have. Great stats, and Brain Sap's just an incredibly valuable level 1 ability.
It's going to be very interesting to see how these lanes do pan out. So in that sense, would you say overall you're kind of favoring the laning stage here for EG?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is that they keep the puck low level. They keep him from being able to get the Blink Dagger and make him the kind of useless offlaner that we've seen before from pucks, and they'll have a relatively good time in the mid game. That's the thing. VP have this kind of like run as you lineup with the Draw Ranger. You know what they're going to do. Kind of the X factor is going to be the puck and how FNG's individual performance and what kind of initiations he could set up for his team. That's really, I think, going to make or break this strategy for VP.
I mean, bottom lane, Puck, he is the one with the illusory orb, but EG giving him the blue balls here. I mean, look at this lane, FNG 0-0, now he's 11 for 6. This can't be good if you're VP.
Yeah, he sees the range creeps dying, and he's just like, he wants to get close enough to touch him. He wants to be able to get that experience, but PPD, he's just totally blocking him out here.
Finally, we've got a low dance coming down on the line. I mean, trying to provide some backup for FNG, and I lost it. We're back on the board, boys. FNG got that CS, and he's now hit level 2 as well. Lane recovered.
I think that's the most excitement this desk has seen since probably 2 series ago.
Oh, well, look at this. Howie's actually going in pretty hard onto Aloha. Back up. But yeah, they certainly need to do something about this bottom lane, and maybe just having the line around will be enough. The question is, how are the other lanes going? Well, in the mid lane, G, he's having a great time. He's 18 for 9 against the 6 for 0 of Sumail. So the fact that the bottom lane was lost, obviously they had Lower Dance hanging around the mid lane, helping out G. That's given VP a huge boost in this area.
Yeah, there's when it comes to the list of heroes that really benefit off of Draw Ranger's aura, I think VP have like 2 of the 3 best heroes.
I think this bottom lane, Lower Dance, he came in to help him put the Fairy Fire. He's got the stun onto Owie, but Owie, who's he going to look for the chase down onto? Actually going to back up and, oh, FNG there, picking up the first blood onto PPD.
See, that's the Draw Ranger aura. He wouldn't have gotten that last hit.
There we have it. Who cares about the CS when you're getting first blood? FNG, he is going to be absolutely over the moon with that.
Yeah, he's back. He's actually even level now with AUI. And that mid lane is being won by G so heavily because, again, the Draw Ranger aura. Wind Ranger is the other hero that benefits the most out of this. The extra damage is too much for Sumail to handle. He just, harassment time and time again is pushing him back to a point where he's now actually jungling, and Fear's going to show his face in mid.
Now see Fear, of course. He'll be able to get the levels. He's touching on to level 3 at the moment, and indeed it's going to be unlikely that the Wind Ranger G is going to find an opening to kill him. Fear just going to play it safely. One lane that we haven't really talked about too much, so this top lane, Yoku on the Drow, 17 for 9. Bulba, of course, on the Dark, so he's still going to find the CS. So all things said and done with that first blood and considering the mid lane, overall this looks like a kind of a good start here for VP in the early game.
Yeah, I think what Evil Geniuses want to do right now is that by continuing to put the pressure on that bottom lane and forcing Lion to rotate down there, if they can actually continue that pressure to a point where they actually rotate even more support away from Yoku, thinking like, okay, the static laning phase, it should work out for the Draw Ranger, that's when EG are going to rotate the Ember Spirit up to that top lane and try and get a quick kill on him. Obviously, that's not going to happen for a couple minutes now. We just need Sumail to hit his level 6 first.
A little smoke here from VP, no fear, and a Lower Dance eyes onto the mid lane. They could go for the Bane kill, so if they want to try for something better into the jungle, but now they're just leading onto this one with the Shackle. The Lower Dance with the lockdown, they'll just throw all the stuns out and will set themselves up the kill. No fear getting themselves the final touch. So VP finding some action in the middle lane, getting themselves a second kill on the board. And as you said, as expected, FNG now getting more space bottom. Owie, he's having to deal with this puck on his own, actually going in, giving FNG some, but FNG's got the silence, the orb as well. He'll be fine, A-OK. And he is running that bottle here as well now. So things are certainly starting to look it up for the side of VP, considering how badly it was looking at the start here for the puck. But I mean, what's the game plan here from EG? Oh, it's not going to be this. If he gets this, oh my goodness. What a kill for the Lion to find. I don't think you can believe his luck there.
Like, okay, that's
he's hit the
awesome.
jackpot there. All right.
He really did. I was just about to say, you know, like that we're seeing this continued narrative, right? Where we're seeing one team draft like kind of strong 2-1-2. The advantage to the opposing team is oftentimes that they have better rotational support, so they're able to put pressure on the mid lane or maybe put more pressure on the safe lane to free up their carry a lot of time. And the response, the natural response by the dual lane team is going to be that they're going to rotate whatever core they think is most likely in danger out of his lane and into the jungle. Sometimes you see the safe lane carry go jungle rather relatively early, sometimes it's the mid, and in this case, obviously, Sumail was the one who was going to be most in danger of the supports ganking him up via smokes, but still doesn't really pay out for him too big as he's still found by Aloha Dance.
CG now going to look to put some pressure again on this bottom lane. Fear coming around from the sidelines on the Elder Titan. The pings will be there, and it's got this wall down, so knows that no Fear's hanging on the sidelines. And PPD will now hang around with Aoi across on that side on the bottom lane, just trying to get the farm here for the man to finish up his armlet. But still kind of uncontested Yoku. He's been having a pretty good old time here on the Drow Ranger. Pretty much has solo XP to himself. There's kind of been the occasional appearance from the supports of VP, but no pressure at all being put on the Drow Ranger on the top lane.
Yeah, I think Aloha Dance is actually expecting, I think he knows Ember Spirit should be about level 6 by now, so he's kind of anticipating perhaps a rotation on Yoku, so he's going to spend more of his time babysitting this Drow Ranger and making sure that she continues to have that free farm that has continued the last 7 minutes of the game.
I mean, I'm looking at GM at the moment. I mean, this man really has had a fantastic start this game. What, 7 minutes in, 51 CS, 29 denies. I mean, off the start, that's kind of as good as this one. Would you expect the Wind Ranger to be picking up? Is he going to go for that early blink? Are we seeing Aghanim's first item or the Maelstrom? I mean, could he afford to go for the blink because of the Drow Aura?
You know, I kind of like Shadowblade against certain heroes that the quick initiation is necessary. Aloha Dance. Oh, lucky.
The Lion sleeps tonight there with a stomp from Fear, and indeed that follow-up, so maybe open again for a bit of luck, trying to see if we can find Sumail low again, but yeah, EG are on top of it this time and actually smoking up. Now we're going to see them try and look to put some pressure onto this Drow. Let's see how carefully Yoku plays. He's very far along the lane here. Should set up a stomp, or if not, just force Yoku back, trying to get Sumail in range for the chains. Nice gusto.
Oh, no
He's going
way.
to go for the TP. Yoku, what a small! The silence wasn't long enough.
If only he had an extra value level in that Gauss, that would have been the most absurd escape.
So close.
But we were talking about, right? Like you want to be able to take advantage of the fact that Virtus.Pro are rotating the supports around the map, so you're going to go for that gank on Yoku's free-farming Drow Ranger eventually, and they did it at the right time and just barely managed to get it.
Mid-cap, look at that, catching out PPD in with a focus fire. The Brainset will keep him alive for the time being, but G will find the kill. Now they're going to get themselves out with Sumail and Fear TPing in. Maybe they can punish G. G, he's gone. He's gone and no fail. Yeah, he's going to run. He's going to hide. He's going to be able to TP himself out. So a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane, but obviously one that EG's going to be happy with. They're taking down G on the Wind Ranger.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses, I think, have a pretty good read on the dangers in these sort of scenarios. And even if PPD does get caught, right, like he was so far back that if they do extend themselves that far enough to be able to get the kill, we can probably get a return. And them being able to trade PPD for G was obviously a huge win for Evil Geniuses. So that's 2 quick wins for them as we sort of broken down the laning phase, right? They got the kill on Yoku, they just got a kill on G. Things are looking much better for Evil Geniuses than they did even just like 2 minutes ago. Still, a lot of worrying to do about G's Wind Ranger, even if you did kill him. His damage plus his farm, thanks to the Drow Ranger and all the free farm that he's had in mid, it's going to be like absurd, actually, how quickly he's able to deal life-threatening amounts of damage.
See top lane VP with a smoke, Aloha Dance and no Fear. Looking to set something up Fear at the moment. Hanging onto the tower. There's actually going to be a rotation from Sumail as well coming over to the safe lane. So it looks like VP won't find anything there with the smoke. They'll still hang around, see if they can catch anyone off guard. But as you can see, EG playing it very, very safely at this moment in time. And elsewhere on the map, FNG continue to get more space here on the puck. I mean, the question is, FNG, we've seen a lot of pucks recently go for that Veil of Discord first build. I mean, with such a physical damage lineup, do you imagine that's very unlikely this game and FNG will simply just build up for the blink?
I think Veil is just a really value stat item. That being said, the initiation is too important in this kind of game, unless they're going to be relying entirely on G to make that route. But it seems like G's actually going to be going for a damage item first. He had a Mithril Hammer, sold it, so maybe he's reconsidering. Maybe he's going to go blink first. I don't know.
Oh, this invis could be lovely as well if they can get a shackle onto Sumail.
And this is exactly why I want to see Shadowblade, right? The instant initiation on an Ember
And here
Spirit.
we go. Where's the save? Fear's there. He's going to lay up for the stomp, but actually not catching G as well. The silence, the gust from Yoku. Beautiful play, and VP finding themselves another very high priority kill. Very nice indeed for the side, and of course the pushing power is going to be there. They're just going to start to get it on. to do as much as they can to the tier 1, and already on the back lines, FNG's got his eyes on Fear, forcing him back, actually dropping the Dream Coil. They need backup, they need someone to come in. G, Shackle, tried to look for the Shackle from the sidelines. I kind of wonder if he'd just gone straight for it and gone for the mini stun. He might have managed to cancel the TP, but looking for the longer stun there, didn't work out.
I think G had the right read in that, like, just the missile time of Shackle Shot, like, you have to try and get that, like, instant close range Shackle Shot and have the secondary target somehow latch that Elder Titan for you to have a prayer of being able to stop his TP out. Evil Geniuses, they're responding appropriately, I think. They're getting this tier 1 tower in return at the bottom lane. Their timing is definitely much later than VP's. Naturally is most of the time with Draw Ranger lineups. They're just so quick to output early physical damage that you don't want to contest them.
And look at this as well. VP really wanted to find some big finger onto Aoi, the power shot. Coming through, helping out. EG still hanging around with the smoke. Do they want to try and fight interest? That's the question. Samel juking out the magic missile there, but he gets Shackle shotted up on the sideline. PPD with a Fiend Strip holding G in place. VP, they need a bit more help here. They've already lost the Venge. They may lose G as well, and indeed Samel jumping forward with the Remnant. They'll find a second. Although I dance on the run, there's no tier 1 left, of course, to save him. Samel, fairly low on mana, has enough for the change, but they need a Nightmare to allow this Ember to close the gap. Oh, with the arcane boost, that'll be enough. Jumps in, with the stun, with silence. Joku looking for the turnaround. They'll take down Samel, and now PPD involved. They've got to be careful. Splitter comes through, only catches onto Yoku, but they're going to find a third here. EG, can they continue to clean up? Fear, PPD, and Bulba ready to look for Yoku as well. Yoku trying to find the Dark Zeal, won't be able to. And a little bit scrappy there, but EG come out. Absolute trumps there, taking down 4 of VP.
Yeah, the sustain of their lineup, the tankiness of certain heroes like Elder Titan, you definitely see kind of some of that strength and an engagement like that. But I thought for a moment there, VP was going to be able to get so much more. FNG,
it was looking good, yeah.
Yeah, if he had more mana and he could have been able to get in there with the Orb, Silence, and Dream Coil, he didn't actually use the Dream Coil because he ran out of mana. As part of that, I thought that Silence was going to be like instantly 2 kills, but Evil Genius is still able to come out on top in that skirmish, and they are actively, I like the way that they're playing very active in some regards. Like, they don't want to take the full-on team fights, but they should be looking for these weird, like, 2v2, 3v3 scenarios. Oh,
Mid
no.
lane, Dream Coil, it's only going to catch Aoi. EG, they've got a lot of backup as well, so won't be able to find anything here, get themselves out. Onto FNG, but no follow through from EG, but that is Dream Coil down. Nothing being found with that one. VP really wanting to go on this one. Look at the Shackle onto PPD. No fit. Moving forward as well. Magic Missile onto the Bane. They'll try and take him down and turn around with a break up. There's the stun. Keeps him off. Aoi moves it for a 3-man crush. Chase onto FNG. He's gone. And Hex up from a low dunk, but it doesn't matter. They'll take him down. G trying to find Fear with a focus fire. Won't be enough. Has to run around himself. A mid lane, Samel still moving in for Yoku. The Flame Guard is up. If he can get himself in range, it will seal the deal. Jumps in with the Remnant. Double kill for Samel on the Ember Spirit. And they're not done, EG. You can see on the bottom, Aoi looking to chase down G. Oh, that Shackle. Literally just on the range of it. Will hold back the advancing fish. Again, EG, they're starting to take the favorable team fights each time. And at a point, as you said, where VP's lineup should be pretty strong at these engagements.
Yeah, it feels like oftentimes when you introduce like a newer hero into the meta that you haven't seen in a really long time. I think there was an example of like the Centaur, like Admiral Bulldog, who kind of underestimated some of the burst damage that Centaur could output early on. I think there was like, just the Dota's oftentimes a game of feels, right? And in that regard, you kind of lose the feeling of what that hero can really do to you. And you're seeing it here, like Virtus.Pro not respecting the defensive capabilities of the Elder Titan at all, trying to like go for that kind of fight and naturally grouping themselves up while they funnel through that area near the tier 1. It just set up Fury for like the freest stomp of his life. And once they hit that stomp, then they could follow it up with all their other AoE, Vacuum, Crush from the Slardar, and then Ember Spirit's going to be free just to clean up whatever heroes are left over.
Key items, of course, FNG 1800 towards his Blink Dagger, but at the same time, you look at the next fight, Bulba is going to have that mechanism available. I mean, fighting into the team already, we're seeing EG being able to self-sustain themselves and hit back incredibly hard. If you kind of throw in a mech to that mix, you know, an item that no one on the side of VP is going to be anywhere close to anytime soon, and maybe not even being, thought about buying it this game, it's going to be so scary having that extra damage offset that EG is going to be able to throw into the 5v5s.
Yeah, this is why VP, they really need that Blink Dagger on FNG, because they got to play fast. They really have to be able to execute combinations that instantly blow up heroes, like they did at the bottom lane, where they took that Slardar. When he tried to go for the tier 1, you saw the way that Evil Geniuses were kind of set up to respond to an attempt like that, but it happened so quickly. AUH just like pop like that. They didn't actually have a chance to be able to respond until a little bit later. So VP gotta play that kind of fast game where they're able to jump in and instantly get multiple disables.
Talking about jumping in EG, they smokes up, moving into the jungle, change to leading onto Yoku. Nice silence catches two, but it didn't catch PPD, so he moves in with the Fiend's Grip. The Hex comes through, the swap from No Fear, saving Yoku. The question is, can VP come back into it? Shackle onto two, the tree can't follow through. FNG coming in, the finger takes down one bomb, will pop the mech, but he's got no friends. He'll almost certainly go down as well as G comes back out of the nightmare. The focus fire nearly enough. He'll look to chase down. Power shot's going to be duked out by the boy. Bulba, can he keep himself alive here? G continuing to chase. Bulba's trying for the TP. Is he going to make it? The stun on point from Aloha does, grabs himself a double kill. And VP turning around what looked to be a nice smoke gang from EG, but the play was there, and this time the team fight going their way.
Man, for a second there, I was ready to praise Bulba, but fortunately he still went down. That was a very beautiful sidestep from him in order to dodge that power shot, but don't have to give him praise just yet.
I mean, it was just pretty much that shackle really from G there on the turnaround that just set up the easiest dream call of FNG's life, and he was able to get the 2 nukes out.
I mean, we saw the way that G was able to just do insane things in the previous series of VP. You gotta watch out. He's definitely the big playmaker of Virtus.Pro. You don't have the most, I think, reliable offlaner in FNG. He hasn't really been able to shine so far in this series. So it's really G is like threat number 1. He's almost, in some ways, I think when you're playing against VP, you want to prioritize shutting him down, kind of like you do Miracle. It's just the difference is G is like really active tempo controller kind of player as a mid, whereas Miracle is more of like you're scared of him playing late game carry style.
Absolutely, and this might kind of come back to bite EG in the foot. You know, the fact that, as you said, they did prioritize a lot of attention towards FNG at the bottom of the start, and yeah, they shut down in CS, but FNG's come back into it nicely, and it gave a lot of space to G in the mid lane. Now they're going to find themselves a tier 1 mid here, VP, so finding themselves the objectives. I mean, what, 17 minutes in, as we can see on the net worth, it's pretty much neck and neck, bang on to that 0 point. VP now looking for more action. There's a 5-man smoke. At the same time, Aoi has got that Blink Dagger complete, and very, very nicely done here. Look at that scan. Scanned on top of the ward, so EG know exactly what's up, and they know that a smoke's coming for them.
So all Evil Geniuses have to do is play kind of back. Even if Bulba was gone on there in that kind of area, it's like a staircase. You know, it's really easy for then Fear to be able to respond with like a long-range Earth Splitter or something. So they're positioning themselves accordingly. But also notice like AUI is pushing out the bottom lane. So they're still getting some degree of farm while this smoke is happening, as long as he doesn't run into it.
Oh, he jumps in, but they had the ward out, so the precast Hex was there from Aloha Dance. That ward there and that setup, very, very cleanly done from VP, and Aoi just did not expect them to have the vision there.
Don't look gift horse in the mouse, VP. I think when you get a kill like that on a core right outside the Roshan, you should definitely try and quickly take it. Fear, he's going to be disruptive, but I don't think he's going to be disruptive enough to stop VP, or not.
Scared.
Okay, they're I mean, they got to take a little bit of risk, right? At some point, I think, VP, because just because the metrics say, like, you know, it's kind of looking like a kind of even game at Golden Experience, you still want to be ahead as a Dro Ranger strat. Right, Owen? It's like one of those kind of lineups that you
have that edge.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, a lot of the pressure is on you to be able to take objectives and put pressure on the enemy team. I mean, you're naturally going to have a net worth lead purely because of towers most of the time. But here we're not even seeing that. Evil Geniuses are managing to keep this game well in control for them. And if it just pushes past 35 minutes, they're going to feel like super confident about their victory. It's just time. That's the biggest thing. Playing against VP quite heavily.
Absolutely, and just, yeah, the net worth and just the fact that on the individual heroes, it's just as close. You know, the fact that Samael's up there at the top, you know, just a few hundred behind the Drow, the win ratio. He's got his spots, he's got the perseverance. You know, once he gets that Battle Fury, if they're not taking objectives, VP, the Ember is going to be farming at a faster rate. And we've seen how well Samael can turn up to the fights. I mean, he's 4-4-7. He's been involved in 11 of the 12 kills, you know, at the 20-minute mark. It's incredibly impressive, and it's the kind of battle style of Ember that really pays off against a lineup like VP's that's constantly looking to fight.
The nice thing for Virtus.Pro, the thing they have to really keep in mind is the fact that just because they haven't established full control of this game yet, they also haven't hit their biggest peak. Their biggest peak is usually when they're able to take their first Roshan, and they have 2 different initiators, whether it's the Blink Dagger on the Wind Ranger, or it's the Blink Dagger on the Lion. They need more than just FNG to be able to quickly jump and disable the heroes of Evil Geniuses.
See if they can do anything big with this one. PPD's got an invis rune. He's on the high ground. So if the side of VP do look to try and go for some action, it could be a pretty big setup, but VP, they're playing it safe, they're playing it smart, not looking for anything in the moment, just sending G down to the bottom to continue farming. He has got that 2k. I mean, if you as you see on the win rage, pick up that Maelstrom first. Well, actually, I saw that for PPD. He's got a Fiend's Grip and a Brain Sap. I mean, if he wants to, he could certainly go for this, and yeah, straight up. Leading in with the Fiend's Grip. And Brain Sap to follow should do it, but Lower Dance is going to get the chance to stun. Surely would have been. Well, I guess they'll find the kill anyway here with the Vision from the Spirit. Yeah, no hope for Lower Dance. Fear is actually going to be the one to take it. So it does end up working out there for the side. But yeah, looking back to G, IK did. Goes with a Blink Dagger after the Maelstrom. So, I mean, as you said, G, the kind of playmaker mid, he's really come online. Having this at 21 minutes, EG have got to be scared.
Yeah. The biggest thing is going to be whether or not he can catch out Sumail. It's going to be more on FNG than anything because he has the instant disable in the form of his Blink Silence, while there's still a bit of animation, obviously, for the Shackle Shot. So if they can lead with the FNG being able to get that silence in on the Ember Spirit and G to follow that up with a Shackle Shot, they could repeatedly kill Sumail and just slow down his Battle Fury, because that's obviously the big high ground defending item with an Ember Spirit, and it's the beginning of him getting a farm that you can't compete with. And you don't have a whole lot of heroes on the side of VP. Like, they don't have minuses, they don't also have like extreme farmers. Sumail should be able to outfarm them once he has V Fury.
And top lane, as we saw, coming in with the TP Yoku, just a bit off point there with the Gus. Maybe if that connected, they could have had a chance. They did have a Lower Dance coming in as well as FNG, and Finger was up and ready at the bottom. Rune, nice. Blink away just in time from G. But he's getting crushed out. I just see No Fear still hanging around here if EG come around, but that's not going to be the case. EG now backing up, and in fact VP maybe wanting to look to find something. Jump in from FNG, gets the coil drop down onto Howie. Here comes G as well, and with the lockdown they'll find it. They don't even need to use the focus fire for that one. In fact, they might find a second. Swap back onto PPD, they are. They're going to find a Vayne here as well, and it's going to be 2 quick kills here for the side of VP. Following through, can they get themselves any more? And looks like EG will keep themselves safe, back up on the bottom lane. But again, just like that, 2 picks, and this time it feels like VP, they should have the opening here to go for Rush.
Yeah, maybe, we'll see. It was 1 pickoff last time, and it was on AUI 2. This time around, it's 2 pickoffs. Still, though, Beer is going to be so disruptive. And he got such fast levels, too. He's already got the maxed out natural order. He's going to get 1 more clap. He's going to get an Earth Splitter as well.
Nice balance it. Indeed, now with the jump in there, trying to find the managed to cliff too, but G, he has got that Aegis. He'll take down Bola there. The Splitter will pop the Aegis, takes down FNG as well. Yoku with the silence on Sumail. Aloha gets the control. They should have the controller to kill him. No, they won't. The swap down, it still goes down. Still goes down there. That long range finger looked incredibly weird, but it worked. Still though, VP have lost 4. It's going to be G, the only one getting himself out of there. So EG managing to clean up quite nicely off the back of that Roshan, and do manage to take a little bit of a gold lead, but nonetheless, VP finding objectives, but as you said at this point, VP maybe would have hoped to find a little bit more with that Aegis rather than losing it straight away and then losing a team fight to EG.
Yeah, I think they were so dependent on FNG at that point, right? They were all grouped up underneath the stop. You knew it was going to come, you knew the Earth Splitter was going to hit and everything, but FNG had the right play, which is he jumped Fear and got the silence and prevented the stomp from going down, or the Earth Splitter, and that opened up just enough time for them to actually take Roshan before they got hit by the combo. But what they didn't expect was Bulba to be able to blink in and hit that vacuum wall combination that then caused enough chaos that the silence eventually wore out. Elder Titan still goes for the Earth Splitter, and it instantly kills 2 heroes.
This is, I mean, at 15 to 17, 24 minutes in, you know, the net worth is still there. We can see, though, the actual difference is very, very close between these two sides. I mean, if you're VP now, do you just have to keep looking to try and take the fights? Are you going to have to wait again for Roshan and get the Aegis the next time round, or do you really have to push the issue now?
You have to look for, in these sort of scenarios, it becomes a question of what item pickups are near. And in that case, it's BKB for the Drone Ranger. I think they absolutely should wait for that. But if there's no items that are close besides the BKB, as soon as you have it, go fight, right? Because we've talked about it. There is definitely a timer on Virtus.Pro strategy here. All Drone Ranger strats do have one. So you want to fight. It's just when you're losing in a game like this as Drone Ranger strategy, you can't just constantly run at them. You do have to play around your item timings at least a little bit and hope that that will, this time around, make the fight go in their favor.
See top lane somehow coming in to push in. They did scan this area as well just to make sure there wasn't any members of VP hiding in the smoke. The thing is, VP are still rather close. Yoku, we're going to see straight away, yeah, Sumail's not messing. Runs himself back over to the mid lane. VP going to start to parade through the jungle. He's going to be spotted out by this Dire Observer Ward, and there's the ping. So EG well aware of the movements here of VP. See how they react. At the moment, it's just Bulba continues to find space down in the bottom lane. He's very close to having that money for the Greaves, or of course, if you... Oh no, he's already got the Blink, sorry. So yeah, he's going to have Blink Greaves as well. So Bulba's farm still being very much on point here, and we're going to see in the next fight when that's done how hard it is for VP, and they want to fight now. EG ready to go with the smoke.
Absolutely, they're gonna have like a Crimson Guard soon.
Yeah.
Like Fear's farm is insane. He's got Yule Scepter and
they're sitting under a ward here. I mean, they literally are sitting ducks. There's going to be FNG taken down. No Fear going through as well. I mean, they're certainly going to know there's a ward there now, Cap, after that.
Yeah, but it might be just too late at that point. Sumail is level 16. He's got really good synergy with the Elder Titan. As you see, you can boots of travel onto the Spirit. So whenever Fear finds an opening like that, Sumail will always be right in the middle of a team fight in the best position possible for him to be able to capitalize on it. Well, now Virtus.Pro, next item pick up, I guess, is the Aghanim Scepter. There's still a lot of damage. It's just very glass cannon style for Virtus.Pro. If they ever give the initiation advantage to EG, they lose the fight. So they always have to have FNG or G actually getting the initiation, getting the disables in, and maybe they have a chance to win the fight. But it's going to first come around, and it's getting to a point where they almost have to buy Gem just because Vision is so huge. For Evil Geniuses. If you want to be able to limit the initiating opportunities for Evil Geniuses, first things first is you gotta limit the map control, you gotta limit the vision.
I guess the thing is, as well, for the side of EG, you know, we've obviously talked about the fact that VP needed to push and go for the aggression. EG, I guess they're kind of comfortable sitting back, waiting for VP to come in. They themselves, having that core of like the Ember Spirit, they probably don't feel the game's on much of a timer for these boys.
Yeah, they're pretty happy, I think. EG, like, they wait on BKB for AUI. Like, occasionally when they hit a certain timing or they see an opening where their lanes are pushed out, you like, just because you have the better late game doesn't mean you should always sit back and farm and like, unless you're Alliance, right? In which case you're going to dodge fights like a madman.
I mean, they're still farming for the next land.
Yeah, but in a, like, these kind of fighting cores like Ember Spirit, you want to wait for just an opening before you go for a smoke and try and engage. But Sumail.
Good opening here, G. Is he going to be able to find the setup? He is, and there we go with a burst. Sumail's gone. And I mean, we're talking about getting an opening from EG, but that's the exact opening the VP want to find. Shutting down Sumail at the start of any possible engagement. That's going to give them the space and the time maybe to find an objective. Now we can see EG though off the back of it. They're going to very much put the pressure in bottom, trying to make sure that VP have to think twice about looking for something themselves, as it may just be a tier 2 for a tier 2 push here from both sides.
Yeah, if that's the case, I like what Virtus.Pro are doing a little bit. They're rotating to the top lane, and I think they're also going to try and keep middle controlled so they could rotate from top tier 2 to middle tier 2 and claim a 2-for-1 tower trade.
See if they do get it off at the same time. You know, this bottom lane, but EG's push is not going to be anywhere near the pushing power off the side of VP's. As tier 2's taken in. In fact, they're going to TP down bottom. VP want to see if they can contest this. FNG setting some time here with the Yules onto high. Moves in, drops the Dream Coil onto one, and here comes the backup. Moving forward, no fear. Can he get himself a swap or a stun? Looks like he can't quite push around. Actually, with Bobble coming back in, looking for a vacuum, he will get Magic Missile. There's just Shackle out onto Aoi, but the sideline PBD gets the Fees Drip onto Yoku. He's stuck here right on top of the wall. The slap there from Aoi, bringing him down. That's Dragon. Can they find more slide chains onto G? No fear, running forward, looking for a Magic Missile. It doesn't matter, he's gone as well. And EG reacting very, very nicely here to the defense for VP, finding two. They try and find themselves anything more. Sumail for the slide to change, but VP, they're well and truly backed out. But a very, very nice fight there from EG.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Evil Geniuses did a pretty good job of capitalizing on the mistakes. I like the rotation of their heroes, like the quick movement down to bottom to support AUI, but I think really a lot of that comes down to Virtus.Pro playing sloppy. And I think actually the key word for this team right now is that they just play sloppy. For example, like FNG, there's a lot of small things that he could do better as a puck. He's missed some spells, he hasn't optimized his Dream Calls a lot of the times, but that's not just on him. Even that bottom lane initiation needed to be coordinated better from VP. If they were going to make a jump like that with the Dream Coil, there needed to be much faster follow-up. They needed that sort of like instant TPs at the same time that FNG tries to make his go, but there really wasn't. There was a very staggered response by VP, and because of that, AUI was able to live. They didn't have that instant burst that we were talking about. You have to get the numbers advantage right away with these kind of Drow Ranger glass cannon style lineups, because you need to be able to have the advantage that you could just keep running at the heroes and not be afraid of reprisal from EG. And reprisal they have so much of it, right? Elder Titan, great defensive hero, is going to punish your natural group buff. Ember Spirit, a lot of plays to be made here in a game like this with a lack of instant disables in some cases. And obviously Boba, I mean, he's a signature Darkseer player, and he always finds the opening for a vacuum wall.
All right, it's interesting to see the itemization from Boba. So he goes for the Blink Mech, and now feeling the need to just go for that straight BKB, which he is going to have done pretty much in tandem with the time that Aoi has just picked up his. So BKB is around for EG, and I guess that is just down to the amount of control that VP's lineup has. I mean, all 5 of their heroes have either got a silence or a stun, so it's pretty scary for these spellcasters like the Darkseer.
Yeah, you want to be right in the middle of the fight. If you have a silence that stalls out, even if you get the vacuum but you get silence and can't get off the wall replica, you'll be pretty upset. So he's going to be a lot more of a competent brawler that will initiate with little fear, I think, because at that point all you're really scared of is that somehow you get hexed up before you pop the BKB and burst it down. And I just don't think that's very likely. There's even going to be an additional saving mechanism, PPD, hanging around with the Shadow Amulet, but once he does have that Glimmer Cape, that'll be another saving mechanism for someone who gets caught out by the Lion Hex. That's actually the biggest fear for this team right now, is the Blink Dagger on Aloha Dance. And because of that, Aloha Dance has to remain off map a lot of times. Because if he's showing at the bottom lane like he just did, it's no pressure on Evil Geniuses, I think. It's just like, okay, as long as I'm quick on the fingers as an Ember Spirit at this point, I always jump away before I get caught by Shackle Shot. And if I'm someone like the Slardar, I'm tanky enough that they're not going to be able to instantly pop me, so hey, I'm going to get off BKB, my team will just rotate to me.
See as well, yeah, indeed. If the side of EG are going to be that scared at the moment, and as you said, Lower Dance still himself back and hidden. There was a scan onto that count where Loyal Dance is at the moment, so EG know that someone is there. So they're not going to be able to look to do anything for it at the moment. Roshan, of course, is back up. We'll see which side wants to have their luck at trying to go for the Roche pickup. As you said, you know, there's this timing where Yoku does have that BKB Manta style now completed as well on the Drow, so it's potentially good as time as anywhere for the side of VP to fight. At the same time, maybe just waiting for G as well. I mean, he is working towards that BKB. A few hundred more and he'll have it on the Wind Ranger. So at that point, VP, you know, talking about peaks, they're going to be another one where they're going to be able to jump in and look for a fight. And they are going to need to do it soon because EG, they are eyeing up this Roche.
You cannot let Evil Geniuses get an Aegis. That slows down, like so much of a Drow Ranger, you're talking about control, all those sorts of things. Naturally, Roshan is a big part of that, and it's already concerning that Virtus.Pro haven't been able to claim any Roshan past that disastrous fight that they had earlier. That really wasn't worth it. So they haven't gotten like a kind of free Roshan that will keep that snowball rolling faster and faster, right? It would be so much worse. Their momentum would be essentially halted if Evil Geniuses were the ones who managed to get an Aegis in their hands. So there's no way they can give an opening to EG that allows them to sneak it in real quickly with the amp damage on Slardar.
Look at this as well, EG with this movement in the jungle, but it has been scouted out here with the scan. PD is still on the high ground. The VP, of course, they'll play this one safe. They want to try and smoke into it. The question is if they go around this way. I mean, they're going to be going straight into the high ground. Blink in, get the silence of PVD, and well, PVD, he's going to fall almost certainly. Can EG keep him alive? And maybe they can without it jumping back in with the BKBs out on him. They'll find the line. They do end up losing PPD. Yoku trying to man fight up against 3 of them here. Pots the Manta style. It doesn't matter. Yoku should go down, and with that bash he will. They'll find themselves the Drow Ranger Aoi with the armor toggling. It's going to keep him alive. No, he'll fall as well. EG, they've lost 3, but at the same time, so is VPG. Trying to foul up for the team, finds the power shot onto Bulba's got to get himself out now. Samael, he's out as well, so it will end like that, and it's a 3-for-4 engagement favoring the side of VP. We can see with the numbers as well, definitely the goal gain there, 2K, as they play it very nicely, and 2 of their cores surviving, whereas EG, they're only able to save 1.
Yeah, that was a great read. Virtus.Pro, I didn't really like the way they initially started that whole entire gank. They knew there was heroes inside their jungle, but they still went straight up that little cliff area, and they could have actually had kind of a disaster team fight because of that. Their smoke advantage wasn't that great, but what was really made the team fight was FNG orbing through them and getting the Dream Coil next to the Heart Camp on both the Elder Titan and the Darkseer. And G also, he did a wraparound where he was able to hit them from the backside as well. So the combination disables and then the heavy damage of G allowed them to clean up the supporting cast of Evil Geniuses pretty damn quickly. And the only reason that fight was actually close is simply because of the fact that Evil Geniuses are a bit overfarmed. The fact that Ember Spirit and Slardar were still like ready to go in that fight and were able to battle out with a Drone Ranger and pick up a couple of kills, was the only reason it was close. If VP were just farther ahead, or if that sort of fight happens maybe 5 to 10 minutes earlier into the game, that fight could look like almost a wipe.
So this is, yeah, it's just getting scarier and scarier for VP. Just look at Sumail, and he's pretty much got that completed Daedalus done on top of the Blink Battle Fury. And in these next fights, that's going to be absolutely devastating for the side of VP. FNG, though, he has got that big pickup of the Aghanim Scepter. Very nice, of course, against the BKBs that EG have already managed to pick up. So this is going to be pretty huge for the next fight if FNG can hit those big dream cores like he just did in that last bit of an engagement in the jungle. And here we have it. Etherland's now done on a low hard dance as well. So VP, they are still finding the item timings. Just as you said, whether against the progression of EG, it's quite fast enough because EG themselves are stepping up the farm game, and they're getting fatter and fatter here on the core heroes.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that Sumail, and I think some of this is just like a failure of execution at that point. If Ember Sphere is feeling okay not to go Manta style against two different dangerous silences, the Puck as well as the Wind Ranger, if he's not feeling the pressure of like having to deal with that silence somehow, he probably messed up.
FNG comes in here. Oh, Aoi jumps back through the Dream Call, holding back Aoi, and FNG is able to blink away. Very nicely done. Was spotted out by the ward. They did have that opening. In fact, no fear with this one, but the focus by the Hex. Aoi's gone. Great pick off there. The feed got to no fear. Vacuum will drop down as well. No fear, trying to get himself out. Bobble will chase him down with the punches. Gets one in return. But on the back lines, Puck using himself up. Yoki's got to find the positioning to get those shots through. This Shackle not going to latch onto Bulba. G popping the BKB. Looking for Sumail. He'll get it. Ember's gone. There's a huge amount of damage output removed from EG's lineup. And PPD hiding in the tree line. FNG and Low Dance will be able to finish him off. But G trying to look for more here. Bulba and Fear back to base. But VP there. What a fight for them to find. The pickoffs were perfect. And that was EG, essentially being able to set up onto FNGs. He just walks up under the ward, but this time VP had an answer. And killing Sumail pretty much was second in the fight. That's absolutely huge. He is the man that EG are looking for to just do the most amount of kind of AoE physical damage, and he was gone.
Yeah, one of the big advantages of the Slaughter is supposed to be his mobility, but we have an Ags Puck. And that is one thing FNG did really well this game, is keeping up his farm. The fact that he was able to have that big upgrade and control a BKB'd hero like that is what leads to the initial pickoff. And then another thing, like FNG managed to get the silence onto Ember Spirit, because Sumail doesn't have anything to get rid of that. He sits around kind of running back and forth for 3 whole seconds, waiting for the silence to go down. No sleight of fisting, no jumping around, fire remning, or even blinking and searing chains. Nothing aggressive was done by Sumail during that fight at all. And as soon as the silence wears out, you have Aloha Dance, who was able to find his initiation with the Blink Dagger, hit the Hex, and then the fight's like guaranteed over. It was already bad with AEY getting picked off like that, but then obviously your main damage dealer managing to get it controlled means that VP just roll over Evil Geniuses. And this is, I think this is the biggest peak of Virtus.Pro. That was a really great fight by them. They need to try and keep up the tempo, though. They shouldn't try and slow down this game too much more. I think they just continue to try and hit Evil Geniuses where it hurts. You don't want to be seeing like either an inordinate amount of damage from the Ember Spirit that allows him to one-shot people, or potentially BKB or something like that that increases his survivability by a large amount. I think you're feeling pretty good about yourself after that fight, and you just want to keep that rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you said, looking at Sumail, is he going to have to seriously consider getting that BKB in the Manta style, or do you feel Sumail will just think, I've just got to play a little bit safer, I can afford to continue to build the damage items?
Yeah, maybe you can wait on the butterfly. For Drone Ranger on the side of Virtus.Pro, it's EG. I like smoke gangs here. That's
FNG
sure.
straight up. Is there going to be any backup? Yoku throwing down the gust. Here we go with the TP from Sumail onto the Spirit, ready to find a fight. He'll look for No Fear. No Fear gets the magic missile. There's a buyback from Puck, but the Avenger's already gone, and now EG trying to get themselves out. But G with the BKB moving in onto Bulba. There's your Dream Call, catching out 2. Bulba drops the vacuum wall, catches out low hard dance at FNG, but PPD, he's already gone down. They'll find Bulba as well here. Beautiful buyback there from FNG to set up that fight. Getting that Dream Call onto 2 ensures that VP find themselves the favorable trade once again, and VP, they are just amping up the pressure in reaction to the way that EG is playing. And 26-27, this game is still is incredibly close to 39 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Virtus.Pro are really close to being able to take that first lane of racks, and then if you can get just 1 lane of racks with the Drone Ranger lineup, that buys you a lot of time.
And look, they're going to get Fear here as well by looks of it, potentially with the setup. Can they get the lockdown? No, Shackle won't latch. Find the back of it to a G. He may be in a bit of trouble himself somehow. He's TPing back, so
Yeah,
to deal with G.
He even had a Yule Scepter still to use on himself if Fear felt like he was really in big trouble. But the thing is, he's so farmed, he's got a Crimson Guard. And did you see the way that Spirit walked through the fight? Like, I thought the fight was going to be really bad for Evil Genius, or rather for VP for a second there. When I see the Spirit like running through everyone and Ember Spirit's TPing in, he's like giving Ember Spirit the freest positioning in the fight that he could possibly ask for. But again, it's in part because G, he manages to position himself really well, cuts in from the side once again. He's never on the front lines. He's always hitting you from an angle that is a little bit opposing to the rest of Virtus.Pro's positioning. So it's just not really expected. He hits EG really hard, and there was also the commitment of the buyback by FNG. It was a good read by him, and now they're going to catch Smell.
Indeed, this is a huge catch as well. G keeping in with the box, perfect play. And that is Samael down for 85 seconds. He went all in with the purchases here. So there's no buyback for a full 80 seconds. VP, this is a huge window for them to find some big objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, like, it's such a long death timer and guaranteed no BKB, at least for another like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, Virtus.Pro are absolutely in a heaven of their own making. And now the question is, can they actually crack the high ground? And that has been something that we haven't talked about. Evil Geniuses have incredibly good high ground defense with both the Darkseer Vacuum Wall as well as the Elder Titan. Like, he's one of the best high ground defenders in the business. So that is still something that's going to cause some trepidation into VP. But again, I will really want to urge, don't slow this down. Keep on going. You've got like so many items. You've got to push this advantage now.
And of course, with this pushing power, it's going to work. Tier 3 down to a third. G, he's going to look about getting himself back in. Sleep onto a lot of those on the sidelines, just trying to slow VP down to 25 seconds without Samael. They'll put the fortification. Should at least be able to find the tier 3. The question is, can VP do more damage here on this top lane? PPD trying to hold them back. Enfeeble and Nightmare onto G. Yoku though moves in, and he's Drown Ranger punching away at the Rex. They should be able to find the melee before Samael's back, but with the crush onto GG's gone. He's got the Aegis, he's going to be back for round 2. The Dream Coil stun onto Owie. Bulba's one, Owie's gone. They found it with a finger onto PPD. They're going to be able to find the Bane as well. Just destroying EG at this point. There'll be a buyback from Volva. G jumping in, looks for the Shackle Latch, won't find it. Might not matter with the focus bar. The silence on Samael. He's going to get caught out again. The stun, it's gone. VP. I mean, this was a team that, you know, a few days ago, I mean, a day ago, people were laughing at them. And now VP's just laughing at everyone else back. They're doing it here against EG.
Oh, nice pullback. That might actually stop the second lane of Rack, that they can combo it up.
Look at G, focus like this.
Yeah, it's too much.
I think this might even be overcap.
Yeah, I think so too. At the moment Samael died, he had an 80-second death, and then he comes back and dies almost instantly because he gets silenced up. You know, I didn't want to touch it too much because Samael, you gotta let the kid do what the kid does, but at the same time, I was like, oh man, not having anything to do with silence, that sounds kind of questionable, but I got to give props to VP.
That was really nicely played.
Yeah, you set that up. Like people were looking at VP, and I said in the beginning, right? Like we thought they were like one of the worst teams going into this tournament, but they might just secure themselves top 2 in their group with this first initial game on Evil Geniuses.
Wow.